What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome back inside another pregame show from Boot for Media. Saints, Buccaneers, one of the most exciting matchups that'll be on the 2022 schedule. It's going to be a fun one for sure, and this pregame show is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Week 2 is here, and if you use promo code BOOT, you can bet $5 and get $200 in free bets if you win. That's with promo code BOOT. Chris Zoglu here with John Hendricks and Jack Collada. Let's get into the main thing right here. Alvin Kamara, he's hurt, rib injury. He's sitting this one out. John, concern-wise, is it a long-duration thing? What should we kind of expect with AK here?
Yeah, I don't think it should be a long-term thing that we should really look at, but obviously there is some discomfort. It is a rib cartilage injury. Didn't practice on Friday, didn't practice on Thursday, obviously downgraded. That's not a good sign, but he was out here in pregame doing some stretches, working alongside Matt Rhea. Paulson Adebo was also out on the field, so that's also encouraging for fans. So I don't expect it to be something long-term, but again, rib injury, that is a bit concerning, going forward. Mark Ingram's going to have to take in charge today. I think we're going to see a lot more Tony Jones Jr., but Saints are going to find a way to get this done today without AK-431.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of swing it to you, Jack. I know you're someone who's very big on the Taysom Hill usage and what they can do there. What are you hoping to see out of number 7 now that Alvin Kamara is out for this game?
Yeah, look, I think his energy is going to be crucial with Kamara out. I mean, we all know Taysom's a Swiss Army knife. We all know that he can play multiple positions, but I think getting him involved in the short passing game is going to be crucial for Jameis Winston to get comfortable. And I'm big on the belief that Jameis Winston, to contradict myself on the short passing game, Jameis Winston needs one long pass early in the game for Pete Carmichael to call to him, for him to really get rolling. It was to Jawan Johnson in the fourth quarter of last game that really got him going and put together a perfect passer rating in the fourth quarter because of that. Let's not wait until the fourth quarter for this game. Let's get Taysom involved early in the short passing game and get either Taysom or any of our other weapons involved in a deep throw early for Jameis to get comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And another big inactive that's talked about, and this one's a little bit more surprising, at least the Alvin Kamara one, like John and Jack said, we kind of see it leading up to it throughout the week. Payton Turner, healthy and active. That seems to be one of the bigger stories right now. John, what's kind of the initial reaction to this? Should people be worrying about his status on the team? Should people say, hey, look, maybe it's just a D-line rotation with him and Passanio? Passanio was out week 1. Now he gets his shot. What's kind of the assumption there?
Yeah, look, I think you go with the veteran here when you're facing Tom Brady. And the thing is with Tano, again, extremely underrated pass rusher. He can play inside, especially on 3-man rushes, sub rushes. He was a guy that they used a lot in the middle last year before he got hurt. He's a guy that I think will fit in really nicely with the rotation. And look, Ryan Nielsen has told us before, this is not a team that's going to have a Cam Jordan play 100% of snaps. They are going to rotate early, often, and a lot, and very frequently. And so Passanio is a big part of that. The way you have to disrupt Tom Brady is to affect that timing. He wants to get the ball out quickly. You have Tano Passanio, which is a very tall guy. You talk about batted passes at the line of scrimmage, having him in those types of plays. He's going to be a big presence for this team for sure. And look, I know Payton Turner, it's not ideal, last year's first-round pick, but give it time. There's still things going on, right? And just how it rolls. So I don't think you should read too much into this. They need their pass rushers at a premium today. That guy is Tano Passanio with the veteran experience here.
Yeah, and you talk about that, John. I want to look at the Bucs injury report and talk about the big names on there and kind of piggyback off this. You talk about the defensive line. You see Donovan Smith out. I know we'll talk about Chris Godwin and Julio Jones in a second, but Donovan Smith being out, how imperative is it for a guy like Marcus Davenport to have that breakout game?
It's huge, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to reach in my prop bag. There is a special towel here today.
Oh, John's got some props.
So that's going to be huge too, right? So you got a lot of offensive linemen that are not going to be in this game for the Bucs. Pass protection is going to be a huge opportunity for Tom Brady. Not having Julio Jones in there, not having Chris Godwin. You do have Mike Evans. Everybody knows that between him and Michael Thomas. Then obviously Russell Gage is somebody to keep an eye on for sure. Kyle Rudolph at the tight end spot. Look, that's the thing is you've got to get after him. Marcus Davenport's going to be huge at setting the edge. He's a guy that's going to be out there. Last week against the Falcons, not a blitzing team, right? They had the element of the mobile quarterback with Marcus Mariota. You should see a lot more blitzes today, a lot more aggressive stuff out of the secondary linebacker, like if it's DeMario or Pete Warner, whoever they send. I expect the Saints to get a lot more than just one quarterback hit like they did last week.
Yeah,
And I'll
Jack,
follow up on that real quick.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just seeing on the game notes on the Superdome screen right now, Mark Ingram's 42 yards away from 10,000 total rushing yards. And another fun fact, Marcus Davenport is playing his 50th career game today, 25th start total. And I'll just follow up real quick before you go to the next point, Chris, that the dome field advantage is taken, I think, so much lightlier than it should be, because this first game in the Superdome is going to be very hard. I was in Tiger Stadium last night, and Will Rogers couldn't even get a playoff. He couldn't communicate on an audible. I think it's going to be like that for even the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady tonight.
So, Jack, you throughout the week talking about Mike Evans, Marshall Lattimore, we'll still see that matchup, but no Godwin, no Julio Jones for you at least. Are you recalibrating how you're looking at this passing attack of the Bucs, Saints defense, kind of the matchup that people were looking forward to? Does it simmer a little bit to you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think ultimately, if you can harness Mike Evans, and I use that word because you're not going to stop the guy from catching the ball. He's one of those guys, just like Julio Jones, who are we confirming him out for today, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, so Julio Jones is out. You're not going to stop Mike Evans from catching a couple passes, but he is a guy that Tom Brady has a way of doing this, and you can go down the line, even in the Patriots, of making guys better with age. Mike Evans, to me, is getting better and stronger with age, and so if you can harness him early and put maybe a little a bump on him at the line of scrimmage, I think that's going to go a long way for the Saints' defensive and secondary units.
So another big thing this weekend, and thankfully for the Saints, it's one of those situations where the player's active. Jameis Winston limited throughout the week, back injury. I'd imagine that's why he was in the medical tent during week 1 against the Falcons. John, you've done a really good job of telling people, don't panic. Jameis will play. That seems to be the case. What have you heard at least on that situation? Is it a lingering injury? Is it one where you just do a little bit of maintenance? How should we feel about Jameis Winston going into week 2?
Yeah, not only heard but seen. I mean, Jameis is fine right now. I mean, the thing is, he's Dennis Allen's being a little bit more cautious and limiting in practice. That's the biggest thing. But look, Jameis was always going to play in this game. That was never going to be a big deal for him, right? And there's a lot at stake. He's downplayed the whole facing Tampa again, all this good stuff. And we know how this matchup ended up last year with that Devin Smith tackle and everything. But look, Jameis Winston, everything, it's just those course of injuries that happened throughout the year. Got some treatment. He was fine. He made that killer pass to Jarvis Landry. Everybody should know he's okay, right? And so Jameis Winston is going to be a big deal today. I really am looking forward to the matchup between Carlton Davis and Michael Thomas. Fans probably remember Carlton Davis running his mouth a good bit, Michael Thomas responding a good bit. That is going to be something to keep an eye on. But look, the big thing with Jameis is keep him upright. He got hit too many times last week, 4 times sacked. Some of that was on the some of that was on the line. Some of that was on the running back. Some of that was on Jameis. So I would expect a lot better of a pass protection today, whether it's max protect, whatever you got to do. Blitzing is going to be a big deal, trying to pick it up with Mark Ingram because you don't have Alvin Kamara in there. But they've got to give Jameis some time to get there because this is a very talented front seven that the Bucs have. And so I expect Winston to have a really good game with the back issue, and everything should be fine on that.
Yeah, and we'll go around the horn before we finish this key matchup. What are you looking at? What determines this one? Jack, what's your key matchup of the game?
My key matchup is going to be the offensive line of the Saints versus the defensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, and the other way around. I think people forget that the Tampa Bay Bucs O-line is young. And so I think the guys in the trenches are my good matchup, and I'm really looking for Cam Jordan to step up here against in the edge rushing game to put some pressure on Tom Brady early with the help of dome field advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And John?
Yeah, look, I think it's the wide receiver matchups too. I think that's a big deal, but I'm really interested in the Saints secondary. I know Pete Werner and Demario Davis playing together. That's not a concern, but look, you got to think about it. Lattimore is really the only big guy that's returning. Bradley Roby in both games last year played less than 50% snaps. He obviously knows a little bit more, but the back end specifically, when you roll in that nickel with Justin Evans and you got him as a newer type of guy to this game, and also Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May. Marcus May is a guy that stood out a lot on the film last week. He did extremely well. Justin Evans, too, had some opportunities. But, look, I think that back-end secondary, they had pretty good communication other than that one deep play that saw make pass interference. That's my focal point, is because I expect Brady to try some deep stuff. The last thing the Saints need to do is give up some big plays. I expect some short underneath type stuff. But, look, that back-end secondary playing in their second game together and obviously not having Paulson and Debo, that's a big focal point. Communication inside here, being able to set the tone, and obviously Jack talked about it, the defensive line on both lines in the trenches, protect Jameis, and then get pressure on Brady. That's the best way you can do. Saints, I feel like, even though they were not favorited in this game, should be able to produce a win and get to 2-0 after this one.
Chris, I got one more nugget to add.
Absolutely, go for it.
A key matchup that you don't often talk about is the kicking game matchup. Will Lutz versus Ryan Suckup. Who can go perfect? Who can hit a deep field goal late in the game? Those are crucial, and we all know Lutz started with a miss and then obviously saved the day against the Falcons with a 51-yarder in the fourth quarter. But another thing I just want to throw in for all you fantasy football people joining in, I just benched the Bucs defense on my team. I had them starting. I'm benching them and just going with 0 points on my defense. I'm not even adding another defense. I'm just taking the 0 there.
All right, that's a bold strategy. Last thing before we throw it out, I'll say for Saints fans looking at this one, you got to look at Leonard Fournette too. We talked about the trenches. He had over 120 rushing yards last week. Saints gave up over 120 rushing yards to Patterson. Can they fix that? Turn the Saints the Buccaneers one-dimensional? Kind of what John and Jack talked about, getting after Tom Brady. That's going to do it for us here, guys, for the Saints pregame show. Week 2, Saints Bucks kickoff at 12. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern.